Have you ever stopped to think that maybe all it takes to completely change your life is to change the way you think? Yeah, I know. It sounds like cheap self-help talk, but believe me, it's not. Most people spend their whole lives waiting for a big opportunity, a push from fate, a stroke of luck. But true success starts inside your head, in your perception of who you are and what you're capable of achieving. Simple, but not easy. The problem is, no one teaches us this in school. This is one of those stories that give you goosebumps. The story of a man who went from total dependence to independence just by changing his mindset. A visceral example of mindset transformation, self-respect, and growth. He could have continued as he was, accepting scraps, but he chose to flip the script. And you know what? This is not exclusive to him. You too can transform your life with a change of thinking, seeing every challenge as an opportunity to learn, grow, and start your own entrepreneurial journey. Now, tell me honestly, are you going to keep waiting for luck to knock on your door? Or would you rather take action, change your mindset, and create your own path to success? Stick with me until the end of this video because this story will inspire you to take action, and who knows, maybe build a legacy through entrepreneurship, motivation, and inspiration. Let's go. Picture a man standing there every day on the platform of a train station, holding out his hand, waiting for someone to drop a few coins. His perception of the world was limited. Survive, just survive. No confidence, no identity beyond that of a beggar. Until, one day, his routine was interrupted by an unexpected question from a well-dressed man. Have you ever given anything to someone? That wasn't just a question, it was a seed planted, triggering the beginning of a real mindset transformation, even though, at that moment, he had no idea of the impact of that simple exchange. The beggar, shrinking in his condition, replied as many probably would, "I'm too poor to give anything." But the wise man wasn't talking about money. He was talking about something much deeper. The principle of give and take, give to receive. How many times in life do we believe we have nothing to offer, when, in fact, a simple gesture like a smile, a hug, or even sharing a bit of what we know can generate a real opportunity for growth? Look at great entrepreneurs. Before they sell, they create value and offer something to the world. That's value exchange in practice. The reflection didn't leave the beggar's mind. Days and days contemplating that provocation until the change of thinking finally happened. He realized that even without possessions, he had something to offer. Flowers, taken from the station's plants. He then started giving flowers to those who left coins. And, to his surprise, more and more people started contributing. Why? Because they perceived value, a sincere exchange. This boosted his self-esteem, his self-worth, and, for the first time, he felt he was actively participating in a bigger game. The game of business where giving and receiving are the foundations of success. But the most amazing thing? This was just the beginning of his transformation. Months went by, and that man, now used to his new behavior, carried a different spark in his eyes. On an ordinary day, like so many others, he saw the well-dressed man again, the one who had planted the seed of change. Without hesitation, he approached him and, with a confident gesture, offered him flowers in exchange for money. The man smiled and said, "You're no longer a beggar. Now you're a businessman." That phrase felt like a seal of identity, reinforcing what the former beggar was starting to realize. He was no longer a victim of circumstance, but the author of his own story. That was a definitive turning point in his personal development. From that encounter, he understood once and for all that he had found the key to changing his life. It was as if, in that instant, all the pieces fit together: perception, confidence, personal value. He then declared, "I'm no longer a beggar. I'm a businessman." Just look at the power of a well-directed change of thinking. This insight could very well happen to anyone, including you. Want a practical example? Start by observing your talents and ask yourself, how can I turn this into an entrepreneurship opportunity? Could be baking, crafts, or even creating digital content. The important thing is to take the first step with motivation. 6 months later, there he was, no longer wearing worn-out clothes, but dressed in an impeccable suit, reflecting the confidence he now carried in his new identity. Upon meeting the same man again on the train, he proudly shared that he had started a successful flower business and was now traveling to expand his brand. Notice, he didn't stay limited to the station environment. He sought opportunity, broadened his worldview, and embraced the continuous process of learning. Just like him, anyone who wants to experience true mindset transformation must understand that success doesn't happen by luck, but is the direct result of action, perception, and growth. And how exactly did he internalize all of this? At that reunion, now as a businessman, he made a point of proudly sharing the journey he had undertaken. He said, with a firm and confident voice, that it all started with that simple question: have you ever given anything to someone? From there, he understood that he wasn't just receiving alms but offering a product, making a legitimate value exchange. That perception completely changed his relationship with the world. He was no longer a dependent beggar, but an independent merchant who built his own path through self-respect and an unwavering belief in his self-worth. That's what I call a real, practical mindset transformation. He understood once and for all that it wasn't charity anymore, it was business. People weren't giving out of pity but buying flowers because they recognized value in what he offered. That clarity about his identity freed him from limiting beliefs and made him adopt a new mental standard of success and growth. That's exactly how great stories of overcoming are born, through a shift in perception and the courage to act. Here's a concrete example. If you want to start a business, begin by understanding that people don't buy your product or service just for what it is, but for the perceived value and the confidence you convey. In the end, the moral of this story is simple and powerful. Real change starts in the mind. When you elevate your perception of who you are and what you can achieve, you discover that you're capable of reaching much more than you ever imagined. Self-respect and thinking big are the foundations for any personal and professional transformation. This applies to any area of life: finances, relationships, or entrepreneurship. Now tell me, have you already started identifying what needs to change in your own mindset? Because anyone who truly wants to achieve success and experience a life of inspiration and fulfillment must first take this step of internal transformation. So, after hearing this transformative story, tell me, are you going to keep waiting for things to change on their own? Or will you take responsibility for your own mindset transformation? Remember, no one will believe in your potential if you don't believe in it first. The big turning point happens when you decide to act, change your perception, strengthen your confidence, and invest in your own personal development. After all, success isn't a matter of luck. It's a matter of choice. Now, stop for a moment and reflect. What small gesture can you start doing today that represents this new identity? Maybe sharing your knowledge with someone, starting a small business, or simply valuing your own story, recognizing your self-worth. The important thing is to understand that every action generates a virtuous cycle of growth, learning, and new opportunities. Are you ready for that? If this story inspired you, made you rethink your perception of the world, then don't forget, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave a comment below sharing your biggest insight. That way, you'll keep learning, getting inspired, and staying motivated to, who knows, become the protagonist of your own journey of success and entrepreneurship. Let's transform your life together.